And a lot of the companies that we work with are great stewards of their communities and helping their local communities thrive. And so by helping them grow, they can do more work. And so it's just a very beautiful, virtuous cycle. Doing what I was supposed to do from 18 to 22. And then I thought, okay, what's next? And I took some time. My parents let me take, a little bit of a breather after college. I'd worked very hard. They're like, okay, you've got 3 months to figure out what's next for you.
AI can polish it and make it sound better, but it should really be your words in my experience if you want to stay authentic and people to connect
Yeah.
with you.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'll be reading content sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is completely ChatGPT, and it gives me the ick. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Yegi. I'm an entrepreneur and success coach who wants it all. Family, luxury, career, and the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I'll do whatever it takes to get there. I created the Yegi Project to document my journey and inspire others to do the same. My mission is to change the world by influencing and leading others to do what they love and live fulfilled lives.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Yegi Project. Today's guest is Kwedar Cockerell, who is a PR specialist, a mom, a working mom, and also an entrepreneur. She also is a marketing strategist. So for us, audience, for our entrepreneurs and our personal developing team, everybody's gonna want to pick her brain, and I'm so excited to personally pick her brain and see how she can help all of us grow our businesses and thrive together. So without further ado, Lauren, please introduce yourself and let me know who are you and what do you do.
Great. Well, thank you for being here, and pick away.
So excited.
Yeah, let's do this. I'm ready. So, yep. So who I am, you nailed the high points there. Wife, mother, business owner, also, mentor, friend. I love to help others be who they're meant to be. I think that's really my purpose is to see people, be a safe space for people, and to help them, reach their goals and their potential. And in what that looks like in my daily work is as a PR firm, working with a lot of like the unsung heroes of our economy, working with businesses that maybe don't have the sexiest story, at first blush, and really helping them dive into what their story truly is and helping them tell it in a way that's never been told before, and then help them, and communicate both to their internal clients and customers, like their teams, the people they rely on to do the work, and then also to their external customers, and help them really grow. And a lot of the companies that we work with are great stewards of their communities and helping their local communities thrive. And so by helping them grow, they can do more work. And so it's just a very beautiful, virtuous cycle.
That's honestly great. And I believe you attract the type of customers you are as a business as well. So it's nice that you can help your customers and your customers can help their communities. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Lauren, I'm going to jump right into it. You said mentioned PR and marketing. I know those terms sometimes are interchangeable. Sometimes people are confused on what the difference is, or you need to be a celebrity to have a PR team or a huge brand name to have a PR team. Can you kind of clarify the difference between PR and marketing for our
Sure.
audience?
Yes, and you do not have to be Gwyneth Paltrow to have a PR person.
Good to know.
And I would say, sometimes that's really more like a publicity, like that's a publicist. Like that's a different kind of, it's not totally different academically from what we do, but it is a little bit different, where in their world, like no news is bad news. Like they'll take any relevance as long as you're talking about them, that's good. In my world, and like, the business to business PR world and professional PR, we're really trying to do good news.
Good news that grows our business. But bad news does not grow our business.
No, it
It's
doesn't.
not a
That's
popularity contest. We
no.
want business.
Not a good strategy. Not a good strategy. We want to talk about what you're great at. But anyway, so how I like to think about PR as it compares to marketing. Marketing is really a function of sales. It should be measurable. It should be driving butts and seats. It should be driving sales of products and services. And so when we're looking at marketing, we're talking about ad campaigns or buying space and all that, and funnels and your website and so forth. That is not mutually exclusive from PR. They can and should work very closely together, but PR is often a function of management and leadership, and where you are building a reputation for your organization and you're protecting that reputation. And some of the things that we do in PR, for instance, like executive announcements, who's your new chief financial officer, and we're helping to create a space in which it's easier to do business, and really building that understanding of who you are and say like this is who we are as a business, this is where we're going, and we're telling that story. And it's a compounding effect that isn't necessarily like a one-to-one return on investment. It's over time, you're like, okay, this is who this business is, this is who this leadership team is. But if you're launching a new shoe and you're a shoe company, there will be PR elements where we're working with the media, and making sure that the internal customer is taken care of, and so forth. And then you're working with marketing to have the ads talk to the email funnel, to the website and the social campaign, et cetera.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. It should be.
It should be, at least, yes. So before we dive more deep into your area of expertise, can you tell us, how did you get started in your line of work?
Yeah, I fell into it. So I went to a small liberal arts college, and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Business. And I emphasized in English literature, marketing, and finance. And I thought, well, I'm going to go sell insurance or something like that. I had no idea what I was going to do. It's like, I'm 22 and super dumb and
Yeah,
naive.
most people don't know what they're doing, even if
Yeah.
they think they know what they're going to be doing. Most people are not.
No. I was just like, I went to school. I got a great education. I played college golf. I was in a sorority. I was just, I was doing what I was supposed to do from 18 to 22. And then I thought, okay, what's next? And I took some time. My parents let me take, a little bit of a breather after college. I'd worked very hard. Okay, you've got 3 months to figure out what's next for you. And so during that time, I sat down for lunch with a friend of mine I'd grown up with, kindergarten through 12th grade, at the school we went to here in Fort Worth, Texas. And she said, "Bad news, buddy. I'm leaving town. I got my dream job in New York. You're on your own here. You got to hold down the fort here."
You got to figure it out.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh no, I have no friends." And I said, and I knew she was interning at a PR firm at the time. I said, "Well, what are you going to do with your internship?" I mean, this is like such a dumb 22-year-old question to ask. Like, what's going to happen to this internship? As if it's a transferable thing that is, up to the intern to decide. And she said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, can I have it?"
We're practically the same person. We've known each other since kindergarten.
I mean, like, seriously, I want to crawl into myself when I think about this. And so she said, "Well, I mean, I guess send me your resume. I'll hand it over." And lo and behold, they did. They called me in. I brought, a very short resume. I brought some English papers I had written. I brought some marketing papers I had written. I brought some pictures I had taken. I loved photography. And they're like, "Sure, here's $17,000. Come be our intern for the year." And
Hey, at least it was a paid internship.
Right. Yeah. And I knew nothing, obviously, but it turned out to be like, oh, this is it. It's been storytelling all along. And I love taking care of people. I've always loved language and stories, and then being able to kind of combine all these things together. And so I was at that firm for 10 years. When I left 10 years
Wow.
later, I was the vice president.
Wow, congratulations. Yeah,
Yes.
it's hard. Honestly, it's hard to climb the ladder in the same company and make it all the way to vice president. Usually people jump around, or the company
Right.
wants to hire outside new points of view. So that's a huge accomplishment that you're able to do that.
So it turns out, I felt like I was a duck finding water for the first time. I was like, oh my gosh, this is
Sounds
it.
like you're good at what you do.
Yeah. So that's how I got started. And then I left there to go in-house for a client for a couple of years. And then but I really, really miss taking care of clients. And so 8 years ago, I started the company I own now.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
How
you.
has it been transitioning from having a whole team of people that you can personally go to, with now being the top person everybody else comes to? How was that transition for you?
It's kind of one of those things that, like, it happens slowly over time. I mean, obviously there was the big jump of going out on my own, and I was just, at the time I thought, I'm just going to be a consultant, which is fine. I was going to be a solopreneur. I was never going to hire anybody. That very quickly changed with, as clients came on.
Like, oh, I need help.
And what I'll backtrack a little bit. When I left the in-house firm, I was 8 months pregnant with our son, and they laid me
My
off.
gosh,
So,
that's a tough one.
yeah, so it was a bit of a I was gonna leave anyway, but it was sort of not necessarily under my own steam or, right when I was thinking it was gonna happen, but so when I really was getting going with Kwedar and Co., I had a newborn and a toddler, and so I was just kinda like, "Okay, baby step into this."
You're just
But
crazy. You're
yeah,
just
it's
going
totally
crazy.
a little bit,
Surviving.
yeah. I mean, like, I barely remember.
I feel you on that.
Yeah, but, as I emerged from the fog of, early motherhood and early, mothering this business, and the clients grew, and, it's like it became time to just, start adding different areas of team members. And so today, as we record, we're a team of 7. And it's been interesting because I used to be so precious about certain things, like only I can do content. Well, no, I do not do the content anymore. There's just I don't need to do it. I'm
Not
not at all
realistic.
the best person to do it anymore. And so now I love taking care of my team, and so I really do say culture, and I'm kind of like the chief strategist. And so I take care of my team, and I help make sure we're growing.
Awesome. Now, talking about growing, that really leads me into my first question. So, as a small business, how can public relations help me grow my business? Where do
Yeah,
I start with it? Because I
sure.
feel like in a lot of small businesses, that's not the first thing we think of. You would
hmm
think of marketing, like the ads and funnels, like everything you mentioned, the calls, but we don't necessarily think of specifically having a strategy or a budget for public relations when we're
hmm
so small starting out. So, what
Right.
advice would you have somebody who's fairly small or in the beginning stage of their business?
Right, absolutely. And that you're exactly right. I mean, that's if you have X number of dollars, I would probably recommend you put most of it toward marketing, because you need the sales and the revenue so that you can grow, and then you can pour it back into the business. Particularly, I mean, everyone's got a budget, whether it's $1 billion or 10, like it's still your budget. But you're able to, as you grow and as you have more margin, you are able to have longer lead time strategies, and that compound over time, versus like, okay, we need this ad to run so that we can sell this tomorrow. So I do understand that. However, there are things that a small business can do. I mean, I think some of the tactics that we use in our strategies, as we think about, okay, like, how can you, as a leader of the company, talk about why this business. And so places like LinkedIn or other social media, depends on where your clients are. So for me, I'm more B2B, so I show up a lot on LinkedIn, but we have a presence on the other platforms as well. If you're more B2C or lifestyle, then something like TikTok or Instagram are where you need to be. And it's great. People want to do business with people they trust and they know and they like. And I think for my generation and younger, so I'm kind of an elder millennial, Gen X, it we vote with our dollars, and we want to do business with people we feel like we can trust with those dollars. And so when we know who's running a company, we feel much more closer to them. We feel like this is, I want to spend with you. Obviously sometimes we do things out of convenience, but if we have a little bit of time, we want to take that. We see it as more like an investment and money to put money with folks we believe in. So that means showing up as the leader alongside your professional content, talking about your sales, talking about, the company retreat or whatever, you showing up as a leader on the social platform with that content. And then also things like podcasts. Those are ways, what we're doing right now,
Yeah.
are a great way to
'Cause
get
it's
your
a good
story out
platform
there.
for people to get to know you in
hmm
in a whole conversation, maybe 30 minutes to an hour long compared to a 30-second post where people are like, yeah, okay, I get who you are. But unless
hmm
somebody listens to you and talks to you, I feel like it's a podcast is a great way for people to get to know the host or the guest. So I think I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't even think
Yeah.
of podcasts as PR. I'm like, no, I'm gonna that's one thing I can put on my list that I do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there's all sorts of ways to, to take advantage of. I mean, in many ways, my job is much harder than it was in 2003. There's so many channels where people. I mean, in the year of our Lord 2026, we have podcasts, we have Substacks, we have on and on and on, all these different ways where information has been democratized versus just like the one newspaper in town. So my job is way harder.
Well, do you think you have to kind of worry about all those channels, or do you advise for people to pick one or two and focus on that? Because it can
Yeah.
get really stressful as a
hmm
small business owner, or if you have a smaller team, it can get really stressful worrying about all the different platforms, channels, media to want to have a presence in. What's
hmm
your experience with that, and what advice would you give to our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. Pick and choose. You only have so much time in a day. You only have so many dollars. Really figure out. I always like to say, fish where the fish are. Like, where are you going to get the biggest bang for your buck? Where are your consumers hanging out? Go there. Don't be very. I think one thing, especially early stage companies tend to do is they start their business. They're like, well, this is what I really want to do, and this is who we work with, but we really could be for anybody, really for and it's like, okay, yes, true. However, the more specific you can be, the so much easier it is for people to say yes for. So, I mean, right now people are using, for instance, AI for search. Like we're having conversations with ChatGPT or Claude, and I'll use an example. I took my son to San Diego over the weekend, and I used AI to plan a lot of that. And I wasn't like, oh, I want to go on a trip, just any trip will do. I was extremely specific about my 8-year-old son loves Lego and he loves animals, and that's what we're interested in. And so, like that's what we're gonna do. We weren't just like, oh, what's good for a kid in elementary school. You want to be as
Yes,
specific as
I see.
possible. So yeah.
That's actually one thing AI is going to be great for. People are going to be better at communicating in detail, I feel like, to get the results they want. Or if you do have great communication skills and are detailed, you'll be more successful using AI tools. But since you did mention AI, how does AI play a role in PR or marketing
Mhm.
these days?
Yeah.
Do you guys use it in your company? What are some
hmm
best practices, or what are things
hmm
to avoid?
Okay, how much time do we have? Let me start at the end, or the outcome, which is AI. Right now, February of 2026, AI is prioritizing PR results over other types of content. So if you are in a publication or on a podcast, or if you are consistently showing up in multiple channels that are not your own, you are going to surface more readily and be prioritized over other companies. So
I didn't know
huge
that.
use case for PR right now. It's almost as powerful as pay-per-click advertising in that way, because AI is not going to pull your ad. It's going to pull, like, okay, what were you on the Yegi
What's
Project
more
podcast?
what's more
Or
generic? What's more, genuine and authentic?
Right. Exactly. It's like this third party endorsement of like, oh, I can trust this because it's not your own site. Now, you must also have content on your site because it is kind of triangulating the consistency across all these channels. So are you singing from the same choir sheet every place you're showing up? So you want to absolutely make sure you're auditing every place your information is, to make sure that, like, if you make an update one place, make sure you're updating it everywhere, because if
So it's
AI
all
is
consistent.
seen if it's seen inconsistencies, you may get deprioritized there, or it may pull something that you wish it wouldn't. So there's that.
Scrub your, content all over.
Mhm. So how we are using it, I will say some of the ways that we are really showing up is, a lot of the magic of what we're doing are the questions that we're asking, the expertise that we're offering. And from that, we're able to create content that is very unique. And so we do use AI to make sure we haven't missed something in a transcript, for instance, or to make sure, like, okay, here's where I'm going. Is there anything making sense in here? Is there anything in here that might be distracting? Just making like kind of a polish and shine on it. But it is always touching human hands, at the beginning and the end, for sure. But that's been helpful. We have some clients who send us very long emails that we don't we're like, okay, what are you saying here? We might use AI for that. Be like, help us parse some of the meaning. But things to look out for: you must bring your own point of view to your AI driven content. So I will give you for example. So I use ChatGPT and Claude for things like LinkedIn content, blog posts, emails, things like that. But I always come with, an anecdote. Here's something that's happened to me, and here's the lesson, and here's how it relates to PR, business ownership. One day, I was really tired and burned out, and I said, what should I talk about next? And they said, how about this? I said, sounds good. And so I wrote this blog post, and I moved on. But then I thought, I that wasn't like really my experience. I took it and I ran it through a plagiarism tracker, and it was completely plagiarized. But that's because right now AI cannot think for you. It cannot generate experiences. It can only, it's been trained on billions of pieces of content. So it's going to pull from what exists. And if you don't feed it that, then it will be ripping content from somebody else. So that is like a huge thing. You must show up with your own expertise. You cannot rely on it to create it for you. So that's just a big lesson right there.
Yeah. You don't want to get in trouble for copywriting, and
Mm-hmm.
second, you want it to be your genuine words.
Mm-hmm.
AI can polish it and make it sound better, but it should really be your words, in my experience, if you want to stay authentic and people to connect
Yeah.
with you.
Right. And I think the more people use AI, the better they are at spotting it. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I'll be reading content sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is completely ChatGPT, and it
I
gives me
just
the
started
ick. Yeah.
using it. It's so funny. Maybe like few months, barely. I'm like a little behind on that train. I just started using it, so I'm trying to figure out how I can use it to my liking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm still figuring it out. But some of the things I'm like, oh my God, ChatGPT totally rephrased that, and it sounds so much better in 2 sentences. And I took like 10 sentences to try to get my point across. So it is a helpful tool, but I'm still messing around with it, so I don't have too much to add about it.
I had a funny, if I may, experience the other day where I had a team member who was upset about something, and they wanted to send an email, and they said, is this okay? And I was like, well, buddy, hold on. I took it and I put it in ChatGPT. I was like, make this not mad. Make this like way calmer, way kinder. And she was like, oh wow, I didn't even think to do that. I was like, yeah, you can give it a tone, a voice that,
Okay, I'm going to share a funny story too. So I have a friend, and she's dating. She's trying to find her significant other. She's great in every areas of her life, and that's the piece that's missing now. So she's like, I feel like I come off cold and not like very warm over text, and now everybody texts as they're getting to know each other, dating. I was like, I have a great idea for you. Why don't you try literally whatever you're gonna say? Let's test it out with me. And I've known her since I was a baby, and I know how she is. She does come off kind of cold. And I told her, I said, okay, let's try that strategy. Go ahead and copy paste it and ask it to be more flirty or friendly. And it did such a great job. And like, the key is add exclamations and emojis. I'm like, that makes you sound more excited rather than cold. But yeah,
yes,
it was
period.
pretty
No,
funny.
period.
It worked. Anyways, getting back to getting to know you, because I love getting to know my guests. If there was one thing you can change in the world with a magic wand, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And it doesn't have to be thought through, just the first thing.
Yeah. This isn't where, I am an empath and a highly sensitive person. So right now it's tough. I'm struggling a little bit right now, to be perfectly honest. And, when you asked me this question, the first thing I think about is, there's a movie. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on the name. It's with Will Ferrell, and he's in basketball, and he says, everybody love everybody. He was like, everyone's fighting. He's like, everybody love everybody. And it's kind of a family motto too. And I just feel like we get so used to being on our screens and in our phones, and we create these echo chambers, and we really forget to get to know our neighbor in real life, and we cast them with a brush based on a little bit of information that we know, forgetting that people are very multi-dimensional.
Yeah, we're
No one person.
beings.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like we've lost nuance in understanding each other. We've lost just the desire to understand each other. And I'll feel that way sometimes too. I'll just be like, oh, I can't believe you think that. Oh, you're dead to me, But then I'm like, well, wait a minute. So I do wish we could be less divided in thought and understand each other better. And just, when you receive new information, it's okay to change your mind. I feel like sometimes we just like really get bogged down in identity and get really rigid there. And I would love more flexibility there and just a desire to understand one another and take care of each
Yeah.
other.
Honestly, the world would be a better place if we all had a little bit more compassion and understanding. And I think people would be less angry, would be less frustrated because we wouldn't take things personally and we would understand the other person that, hey, maybe they came off in a really rude way, but hey, maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe
Yeah.
they've lost a loved one, So I think that's very important. And I love that you mention it. And it's also easy to just kind of be closed off and be in our own bubble and just push everything else away. So I'm glad, I'm happy you mentioned that it is something we can all be better at to literally make the world a better place and everybody love each other.
Yeah.
That's
Not to, not,
literally what I tell my kids. So I'm like, we're a family. We all love each other. They're all your best friends. That's
yes.
for the siblings.
Yes. Yeah. My husband and I always say it together, like, if we're kind of like team is team, like we're on the same team. And I feel like that, yeah, it just goes to our kids, it goes to my neighbors and everybody. Let's all be on the same team. And like you said, you just never know what people are going through. Like there have been periods of my time where I've experienced pain, like physical pain that's kind of extended way beyond what I would
Yeah.
appreciate. And it really affects you. And I've been very grumpy with people I don't know. And so, you just never know, like, is someone dealing with the death of a loved one? Are they experiencing chronic pain? Or, like you just don't know. And if we can give each other a little bit of grace, like in one of Brene Brown's books, she talks about like what would happen if you just assume best intent of the person who just cut you off in traffic. Like what if you just the first thing you think is like they're doing their best and then go from there versus just automatically assuming worst intent.
Absolutely. I think if you approach life that way and in every single scenario, you'd be such a happier person. And I've practiced that maybe for the past 10 years once I've been aware of it. And I could genuinely say I've been such a happier person, even if everything's crushing down in my life. I find a way to look at it in a positive way or in a way where it's like, okay, don't take it personally. It's because of X, Y, and Z. And it's going to be fine. And it really works. It takes practice. But every time I remember when I started practicing this in the beginning, every time I would catch myself be very angry or frustrated or moody, like, wait, what just happened? Why am I feeling this way? And then I had to rephrase and think, I'm like, well, no, it's okay. Like, it's just traffic. You could put on a podcast. You could, whatever it may be. I found a way and it does get better after a while. I ended up just naturally being like that, not letting things affect me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, for going back to public relations, if somebody is doing a lot of marketing, but they're not doing any specific strategy for public relations, how can they add how can they add public relations into their funnel? So if they're doing, let's say, Google ads, Facebook ads, email marketing, all of that, how can PR kind of tie in if they want they have a budget and they want to go take the next step?
Sure. So yeah, I think some of the ways that we talked about earlier is like certainly thought leadership, like podcasting and just, commenting on social platforms and sharing your experience there. There's also ways you can submit columns to different publications. That's another kind of low hanging fruit. You can also look at just what's happening in your local market. I always like to tell folks, begin with your headquarters city. Even if you're nationwide or international global company, first secure your headquarters city from like a PR standpoint, and then use that as a foundation to build from there. And so, is there a local outlet, whether it's lifestyle or business, that makes sense for you to reach out to, and just let them know about you and if you have products or services. And then one thing that we
And
think
everybody
about too,
should be taking notes. I know as a fact, a lot of small businesses are not doing this because we forget about it. Some of it feels like old school marketing. So everybody needs to take notes and do this.
yeah, get out your
Hire
notes out.
Lauren to do it for you.
Right. You can hire me, but if you're not ready, that's cool. But to be, so if you have, for instance, like a jewelry line or something like that, your local lifestyle magazine, you can reach out and say like, for your next photo shoot, may I supply you with some products for, your Valentine's Day issue or something like that. make sure you're doing it in advance, particularly for a magazine, because they close the books like a month or two in advance, FYI. But just saying like, hi, I'm here and I appreciate what you're doing. I think backing up a little bit, what you should do, and I don't like to should on people, but what you should do is remember that the journalists and reporters and editors and producers of the media, they're people too. And so you need to think about it in terms of how would you establish a relationship with anyone? And how can you be respectful and interesting and interested in them? If you see a piece like, oh my gosh, that was such a beautiful piece, thank you for talking about our local communities, whatever, and leave it at that, and then just slowly introduce yourself over time. I promise you it will go way better than if you're just like spamming the, and they're not gonna
Publish
they're
my
not gonna news is not going to cover a sale. And that comes up a lot with folks who are new to PR. They're like, well, we're having a sale. Can we do a press release about that? They're not going to talk about a sale because that's marketing. Now, however, if your sale is for your 10th year of business and you're donating 10% of proceeds to a nonprofit in the city, now we're talking. Okay. If like the mayor is coming to the to the 10-year anniversary party, now we're talking. Like we have other things that are interesting. Like think about not only what is the reporter interested in, but like what is their reader or viewer going to be interested in? Like we've got to play 4D chess and think like we have to interest two audiences when we are reaching out to an outlet. And we also want to think about like, how am I going to make this journalist job easier? So like, what kind of artwork can I give them so that they can have a multimedia package? Is there B-roll I can provide? Can I give them great quotes or cool angles? Like, what is going to get them the most?
Yeah, the easier you make it for them, the more likely they're going to do it. And I've learned
Yeah.
that with asking anybody to do anything, even
Yeah, right.
employees, the more clear you are, the easier you make it, they're more likely to do it.
Yeah, they're humans. So yeah, like you are going to love seeing my name in your inbox because I'm going to respond to you. I'm going to give you everything you need and your
Here's
story.
a summary, a sub-summary.
Yeah. Subject line, bullet points, long, we usually do like a great subject line. We have a quick pitch.
You
and then
basically do their work for them to
Yes.
make it
yes.
easier. I love that.
Right. And sometimes they're like, great, copy, paste, done. Sometimes they're like, super cool. I actually want to expand this and do interviews and make it my own thing, which is great also. Whatever works, like they need their links to be clicked so that they can keep their job. So you're thinking in terms of like, how can I help them be successful? And that's what you're leading with.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people didn't know how all of that works.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, going back to getting to know you as a person, is there something that most people don't know about you?
Probably lots of things.
Yeah.
One thing I think is fun is that when I was 29, so I'll be 45 this year. When I was 29 and I was working for this first PR firm, I'd really missed out on studying abroad in college because when I did finally study abroad in college, September 11th happened. And so my trip was cut short. And so I've like always had this yearning to spend extended time overseas. I love languages and other
Felt
cultures.
like you missed out. You got to make up for it.
I did. And so in a bit of a like quarter life crisis, I cashed in half my life savings and booked a plane ticket to Italy and like basically took a month sabbatical. I went into my boss one day and said,
I'm out.
These dates I will be gone and I don't care if you fire me.
Deal with it. Oh my God, that's awesome. I think more people need to be doing that, honestly. We forget, in the American culture, we forget to live sometimes, and it's so important.
Yes.
Good for you. What's your favorite memory from that trip?
Oh, gosh. Well, my time in Rome, I think, was my favorite. I would just walk for hours and I would, I'd be like, I think I want to go to the Pantheon today. And I'm not really sure which direction that is, but then I just like show up there. I was like, oh gosh. And I love how it's, you have the ancient Roman ruins and then you've got the modern and fascist era, medieval. And then you've got like the 50s and then like modern day and they're all like kind of like hunched on top of each other. It's such a beautiful city. And there, one day I went into the Trastevere for lunch, and I went to this tiny little restaurant, and I sat down and I started to order, and the waitress stopped and she said, "Do you trust me?" And I said, "Well, yeah, absolutely." And she just coursed out this beautiful menu with, like, I remember there was these tiny little like strawberries that were the size of like my pinky. And I just at one point like just put my head against the wall and like leaned there just in bliss. Like, it was so beautiful and thoughtful. And I'm there by myself and I'm like writing postcards, and
That's
it was just
awesome
like,
that you were able
yeah,
to do a solo trip. That's even
yeah,
more awesome than
yeah.
anything. It's just like 1 month by myself, I'm out. I
Hmm.
love it.
Yeah, yeah. And I hadn't met my husband yet, and I felt like I was getting to that point where I was like, kind of ready for that season of life. But I was worried that I would meet someone and still have this resentment that I had not done this trip. And I was like, I must go. I've got to
I
get this
love that.
done. I'm like feeling like it's starting to like become this prickly thing about me. Like, I couldn't let it go. And so I did it. And then when I came back, I met him like just a couple months later. And so that was it.
Wow, that's beautiful. Honestly, I really think in our gut feeling, or if we really, really want something, we just have to do it because you
Yeah.
never know what comes of it. And there's a reason why we really, like, our body and soul really wants that thing or that
Hmm.
experience. I'm a big believer of that, to listen to your intuition and yourself. So
Yeah.
that's awesome that you were able to do that.
Yes, and actually, I took him. I think it was like our kind of a 10-year anniversary time frame. We went back together, and I got
Excuse
to
me.
show him Italy, so it was very fun.
Excuse
Bless you.
me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Now, actually, I have a story in Italy too that I want to share really
Okay.
quick. You reminded me, and I did a similar thing, but I did it with my girlfriends. And I remember us sitting in Rome outside, we're eating, and we just got there. Actually, we were really tired. And
Hmm.
we decided to sit and have a normal dinner, and have a glass of wine, just like we would do in
As you
America.
do.
Do right? We want to unwind before we even got to our rooms. And I remember us eating maybe within 30, 40 minutes, America, well, that's normal. You eat, you get out, you leave. And I just remember the waiter, he was so nice. Like they planned everything for us, but we just ate and drank our wine and left. And as we were leaving, he literally chased behind us. He's like, "What's the matter? Is everything okay? Do you guys like your wine? Do you like your food? Why are you leaving so early?" And to us, we were like, "Whoa, what a culture shock. Like,
Yeah.
people just sit here for 3 hours, enjoy their, wine and dinner and just ambiance." I was like, we need to be doing more of that in America.
Hmm.
And it was
Hmm.
just such a funny like moment in my mind. I was like, no, everything's perfect. Like, we're so satisfied.
Yeah,
But
we're
to
done.
him, it's wrong that we were leaving after like an
Yeah.
hour. It's like, you guys should be hanging out more. I was like, oh my God, we do need to slow down as Americans.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think, I do want to share one more thing about just that experience, which is right before I left, my boss came to me and said, "It's really busy right now. Is there any way I can talk you into splitting up your trip? Like, go for 2 weeks, come back, and then do another 2 weeks another time." And I said, "No." I mean, I was fully ready to walk away, and she was like, "Okay." I mean, and they were fine. They were fine without
They'll
me.
figure
Uh,
it out. Yeah, life
yeah,
goes on.
yeah, and truly, as an employer now, take your PTO, please. Like, it actually makes me mad. Like, people, this is a benefit to you. Please take it. You can, you must refresh and relax and rejuvenate.
Yeah, you show
Work,
up
work will
better.
be here. Work will be
Yeah,
here.
and you show up better, honestly. If
Truly.
like that's literally what I believe in. If you're a happier person, you're gonna show up and do better in all areas of your life. So why would I not want my employees to take a break and be happier, right? As long
Hmm.
as it's the right employee and they're not gonna take advantage, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Well, there's that too.
yeah, yeah. But that's a whole other topic. We'll skip that. Not
Yeah.
relevant right now. But everybody needs to feel good so they can perform better for their families and work.
100%.
Now, if we were to follow you around, what does a day in your life look like these days
Hmm.
with trying to manage the mom life, the
Hmm.
wife life, the household, business,
Yeah.
clients, and
Hmm.
self-care? What does that look like to you?
Yes. So Monday through Friday, the alarm goes off at 6, and I get up. My husband and I are great team members and co-parents. I will say, I tend to do the morning, like, get organized and out the door. And depending on the day, I'll get the kids ready and get them to school, and then I'll go to the gym or something like that. And then I am now at my desk probably, between 9 and 10, although like at 6 a.m. I'm reading emails. Somewhere along the way I'm reading some emails. Like there are things happening. I'm like kind of always on. And then I would say I work from kind of between 9 and 10 to between 3 and 5, depending on what the kids have in the afternoon. And then my husband either picks them up or I pick them up and take them to activities, and then come home and have dinner and do homework and all that good stuff. And so, yeah, I think my self-care definitely has to happen during
Oh,
school
there
hours sometimes. My husband and I try to we've been seeing a couples counselor actually, and it's been really amazing.
wow.
And just we feel so connected right now.
Wow, that's fun to hear.
Yeah, it's been it wasn't like a crisis moment. It was just like we are really not communicating in a way that, like we love
Yeah.
each other. We want to like remember what we like each about each other.
Why did
And
we get married again?
right, because I think both of us, now that we have a fifth grader and a second grader, we're like, we know empty nest is like really right around the corner. Like it happens in the blink of an eye. And I don't want the kids to move out and then be like, well, who's here?
Honestly, yeah, we all need to take time and reconnect with our significant others, especially when kids get in the picture. Time flies, you're always busy. Work, kids, like it just, you forget to connect. Like yesterday, I realized I didn't even say hi to my husband, and I see him all the time. He works with me too with the
Okay.
company.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, we do the same thing with the kids. I was like, oh, hi, babe.
Yeah.
I've seen you
Yeah.
all day here and there, but I haven't even had like, I didn't even talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's easy to lose, that connection. So very happy that you guys are doing that. That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a lunch date tomorrow. He sent me an agenda.
That's awesome. It's like we're gonna be forced to go out on dates. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we're going to do this. And like, the kids are at a fun age where they're like, can you please get a babysitter and leave?
It's like we're fine. We don't need you.
Right, right. And so yeah, trying to put some intent, really with everyone in the family, like putting intentionality around time with him, time with the kids, time, even my parents.
Yeah, it's a
And
lot. It really is a lot to manage it all. I'm glad you mentioned intentionality because if we don't plan and really like put in effort, it doesn't happen.
right, right. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm looking at my vision board above my computer. Like I have all sorts of things that I have on my list for family that I really want to make happen this year. And a lot of that is intentionality and less phone time. And then, I will put in a plug for
You're
Mahjong. I
like,
really
it's
enjoy.
hard when you're an entrepreneur, you're running a
Yes.
business, you have employees. So good for you. I'm happy you're trying to find your balance because a lot of successful people to do, they look at their career, business, finances, and like, okay, I'm good, I'm great.
Mhm.
As far as success, and they forget the family piece. And until when they realize it, it's like, oh, shoot, it's kind of too late. Everybody's disconnected from each other. So
Yeah.
I'm happy you're doing that before that happens.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got family,
Good
self,
reminder for all
friends.
of us.
Yeah. Family, self, friends, and business. Those are like my big categories, for the year, and making sure that and then like I'm pouring into myself too. I realized years ago it's like no one's gonna make sure I'm eating right or taking care of my body or my brain or anything, or getting a massage or pedicure or something. Like I have to put in the time to make sure that that happens. And so, making sure that that's kind of top of mind too. And I like to play mahjong with my girlfriends, so I do that, probably once or twice a month. So that's fun too.
So, before we come to an end, our time did go by really quickly. What is the number one life lesson that you've learned that you want to share with our audience so they can, do better or maybe learn from you? And what is the number one business lesson you've learned?
Okay. I guess life lesson is take the trip for sure. I think especially in our American culture, we do get very much like the business can't survive without me. I must be here. I must forsake all joy and pleasure. And then, there was a story, on the news, I think it was in the last year, where there was a woman, I think she worked for Bank of America. She died at her desk and they didn't even like realize she had died for like a day or
My
two.
God.
And then, they were, they finally wheel her out of there and then she's replaced. And it's just like, please take the vacation.
Oh my gosh. Hopefully that's just made up story.
No, it's not. It's truly it was like, I mean, I read multiple news outlets cover it. I mean, it's, it's horrible, but the
But it's just a reality check.
right. It's always going to be there. Like even if you were like literally saving lives, you must still do. If you're not a vacation person, that's fine, but at least go do something. But just take time away and refresh yourself. And then I guess my business lesson, and this is something I share with younger entrepreneurs as well, is like I'm a rule follower. I don't know about you, but I get very concerned about the quote unquote right way to do it. Well, I want to make sure I'm still chasing that high from the trapper keeper I got in 8th grade. Like I want to be organized and I want everything to be like just so, and I want to make sure I'm doing it right. But I realized along the way, like there is no one right way to do anything. Like it's very much up to you. I mean, as long as it's legal and ethical, like you're the boss, applesauce. And
I
I
love
think
that. I love how you said that. As long as it's legal and ethical, there's no really rules in entrepreneurship.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's templates out there, but I think and maybe this is more for women than men. I don't truly know, but I do see it more in women where it's like we're like, okay, I want to make sure I'm doing it right and I'm following the rules, but like there really aren't a lot of rules, and you need to figure out what works for you and your team and your customers, and feel free to invent. Like this is your journey.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much, Lauren, for your time. Can you tell our listeners where can they find you and what are your last words of encouragement?
Okay, so you can find me everywhere at so our website is Kwedarco. That's Kwedarco, and that's .com. That's all of our socials. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I'm really active on LinkedIn. So if you're on there, please come say hi. Lauren Kwedar Cockerell. I also have a podcast called The Impatient Entrepreneur. So if you would like to have some asynchronous group therapy with other entrepreneurs, please come listen. And that's
I love
everywhere
that.
you get podcasts. And then final words of encouragement. Like I think the sooner you can find out why you're here and what your purpose is, the better. And really cast that as your North Star and figure out like what your personal values are and live by those. I think when we are living outside of our values, there's just so much friction. So I would encourage you to really decide what's most important to you and then stay true to that.
I love that. Thank you again so much, Lauren, for your time. And thank you to our listeners for always tuning in. Until next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Please rate and review this podcast. Follow and engage with us on social media under the Yegi Project. And if you're interested in being a guest, email info@theyegiproject.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.